Good morning all of you. I am Dr. Kalyani and today we are going to study about the gross anatomy of the liver. Liver is a wedge-shaped organ and it is the largest gland of the body. Let us see where it is situated. So let's see. The liver occupies whole of the right hypochondrium, upper part of the epigastrium and a small part in the upper part of the left hypochondrium. Let us see what is the anatomical position of the liver. To decide the anatomical position, what are the points that we have to keep in mind? The first point is the vena cava opening. This is the opening of the inferior vena cava. So this should lie vertically on the posterior surface. The broad base should lie towards the right lateral side. The sharp inferior border should be directed downwards. Right convexity should be placed slightly higher than the left convexity of the superior surface. So when we are going to put the vena cava opening vertically on the posterior surface, right broad base on the right side, sharp inferior border directed downwards and the right convexity slightly higher than the left convexity. So this is going to be the final anatomical position of the liver. Now let's discuss the borders of the liver. So this is the sharpest and the most prominent border of the liver, which is the inferior border of the liver. The inferior border of the liver separates the anterior surface of the liver from the inferior surface of the liver. And the rounded part of the inferior border also separates the inferior surface of the liver from the right lateral surface of the liver. On the inferior border, we can see two prominent notches. This is the first one and this is the second one. So the one on the left side is known as the interlobar notch. This interlobar notch lodges the ligamentum teres, and the notch which is about 5 cm towards the right of the first interlobar notch is known as the cystic notch. This cystic notch lodges the gallbladder on the inferior surface of the liver. Now, for better understanding, we will have to mark two more boundaries of the liver, which you are not going to find in all of the books, but when you see the higher books, you will find these two borders. So, we are going to make imaginary line from the lower border of the coronary ligament. In this liver, we can see the coronary ligament. So we will take the lower border of the coronary ligament here. In this liver here, the lower border of the coronary ligament, lower end of the vena cava groove. This is the lower end of the vena cava groove, and we will draw a imaginary transverse line which will separate the caudate process and the papillary process of the caudate lobe. So we are going to make a transverse line which will separate the caudate process and the papillary process from rest of the caudate lobe. So here is the line that we have drawn. Then we will reach the fissure for the ligamentum venosum, and then from the lower end of the esophageal groove. This is the esophageal groove, and we will draw the line from the lower end of the esophageal groove, and then this will merge with the sharp posterior margin, which will merge with the inferior border. So this border that we have drawn is known as the postero-inferior border, and this postero-inferior border separates the posterior surface of the liver from the inferior surface of the liver. Now the next border that we are going to draw for better understanding is the postero-superior border. So initially we took the lower layer of the coronary ligament for the postero-inferior border. Now we will consider the superior layer of the coronary ligament. Superior layer of the coronary ligament is very clear in this liver. This is the superior layer of the coronary ligament, and this is the inferior layer. So we are going to consider the superior layer of the coronary ligament and extend this line towards the upper end of this vena cava groove, and this line will then merge with the left triangular ligament. So this line, this imaginary line, is known as the postero-superior border of the liver, and this postero-superior border of the liver separates the posterior surface of the liver from the superior surface of the liver. Now let us discuss the superior surface of the liver. So when we see the superior surface, so this is the right convexity and this is the smaller left convexity. These two convexities are related to their respective dome of diaphragm, and in the middle there is a cardiac impression, concave cardiac impression. This is related to the central tendon of diaphragm, above which lies the inferior surface of the heart. Now let's discuss the right lateral surface. For better understanding, we will divide it into three parts: the upper third, middle third, and the lower third. The upper third is related to the dome of the diaphragm, inferior border of the right lung, inferior border of the right lung, and right pleural sac. The inferior border of the right lung will extend up to the 8th postal cartilage. The middle third is related to the costodiaphragmatic recess and the right pleural sac. The right pleural sac will extend up to the 10th costal cartilage. Now the lower third. The lower third is related directly with the diaphragm, which is in connection with the 10th and 11th ribs. Now let's see the anterior surface. Let's divide the anterior surface into three parts. This is the narrow left part. This is the intermediate small part, and this is the broader right part. So the narrow left part is related to the 7th and 8th ribs. The small intermediate part is related to the xiphoid process of the sternum, and this xiphoid process of the sternum is slightly left to the falciform ligament. The broader right part is related to the 6th to 10th ribs and the diaphragm. Now let's discuss the posterior surface. In the posterior surface, we have to remember about the 5 structures. The first one is the bare area. Why we are calling it the bare area? Because it is devoid of the peritoneal covering. The apex of the bare area is formed by the right triangular ligament. The apex of the bare area is formed by the right triangular ligament. Here we can see in this liver, the right triangular ligament here. The apex is formed by the right triangular ligament. The upper limit of the bare area is formed by the upper layer of the coronary ligament. Upper layer of the coronary ligament. The lower limit of the bare area is formed by the lower layer of the coronary ligament. This is the lower layer of the coronary ligament and this is the upper layer of the coronary ligament. The base of this bare area, the base is formed by the groove for the inferior vena cava. So this is the inferior vena cava and this is the groove. So the base of this bare area is formed by the groove for the inferior vena cava. Now the next structure that we have to remember, this one is the first. The next, that is the second, is the groove for the inferior vena cava, which lodges the inferior vena cava. It is a vertical groove. The next structure that we see after inferior vena cava is the caudate lobe. So this caudate lobe has two processes in its lower end. So the first one, which is projecting towards the right, is the caudate process, which is a tail-like projection. And this one is the conical projection, which is towards the left. So this is the papillary process. While we were drawing the posterior-inferior border, so we drew a transverse line separating the caudate process and the papillary process from rest of the caudate lobe, right? So these two processes are in the inferior surface and the rest of the caudate lobe is in the posterior surface. So this is what we have to remember here. Now the next structure is the vertical cleft, which is a fissure for the ligamentum venosum. This is the ligamentum venosum, which is a remnant of ductus venosus of fetal life. Next to it, we can see a shallow groove. This shallow groove is related to the abdominal part of the esophagus. Now we shall discuss the inferior surface of the liver. This is the inferior surface of the liver. From left to right. Okay. So here was the esophageal groove in the posterior surface, right? So in continuation, now here is a shallow concave fossa. This is the gastric impression, which is related to the body and fundus of the stomach. Then we can see a rounded elevation just next to the gastric impression. This rounded elevation is known as the tuber omentale. Then we can see a vertical cleft. This is the fissure for the ligamentum teres. And ligamentum teres is the remnant of obliterated left umbilical vein. Then the next structure that we see here is the quadrate lobe. This is quadrate in shape and let's divide it into three parts: the upper part, middle part and the lower part. The upper part of the quadrate lobe is related to the right free margin of the lesser omentum. The middle part is related to the pylorus of the stomach and first part of the duodenum. The lower part is related to the transverse colon when the stomach is empty. Then the next structure that we can see is the fossa for the gall bladder, which is related to the body and neck of the gallbladder. Now here we can see a transverse fissure. This is a non-peritoneal transverse fissure, and this is known as the porta hepatis. Here in porta hepatis, we need to remember the arrangement of the structure from before backwards. So the first structure that we encounter before backward is the hepatic duct. Then the next is the right and left hepatic artery. And then the posterior most is the portal vein. The next structure next to the gallbladder is the duodenal impression. This duodenal impression is related to the junction of the first part of the duodenum and the second part of the duodenum. Below that, this shallow concave impression is known as the colic impression. This is related to the right colic flexion. Now here, this concave fossa is known as the renal impression, and this is related to the anterior surface of upper part of the right kidney and right suprarenal gland. Thank you.